The bloody remains scattered across the forest floor prove that a violent struggle recently took place against a massive and dangerous beast. This veteran hunter immediately recognizes the obvious tracks and realizes a colossal creature must have passed through the area very recently. He initially assumed our boy had someone helping him along the way. But the more he looks, the more he realizes that Li Houyi is actually out here all by himself. After watching the mountain hut for several days, the old man concludes that our protagonist is just a regular guy who lacks basic combat skills. The veteran confidently steps out from the shadows to finally confront the young man and make his presence known in the forest clearing. The old man mocks the situation internally because he thinks he is dealing with a complete amateur who barely knows what he is doing. He suddenly abandons his playful attitude and focuses his full attention on assessing the young warrior standing right in front of him. A strange feeling of unease washes over the veteran as he begins to notice something completely unexpected about this mysterious mountain dweller. Li Houyi stands his ground with an axe in hand, sensing someone approaching from behind. The old man walks calmly into the clearing, his shadow stretching long across the purple-tinted grass. The old man closely inspects the stranger to see if he truly possesses the talent required to survive the upcoming trials. His eyes lock onto our boy's arm, where several dark marks are clearly visible against his skin. This discovery seems to catch him off guard, and he cannot help but mutter his surprise out loud. He easily identifies the marks as wolf bites, but remains baffled by how the wounds managed to heal over so perfectly and quickly. He knows that such a deep injury should have shredded the muscles and rendered the boy completely unable to move his arm at all. The old man starts to wonder if this kid is actually a legendary mage capable of using mystical powers to ignore fatal physical damage. Our boy feels the weight of the intense gaze as the old man realizes that this discovery changes everything for both of them. A sinister realization hits the old man because he finally sees a way to turn this chance meeting into his ultimate life-changing opportunity. This encounter gives the veteran hunter a renewed sense of hope, for the vengeance he believed was impossible to achieve before he died. Li Houyi narrows his eyes, sensing the sudden change in the old man's demeanor. He isn't sure what this guy is thinking, but he knows he needs to stay on his guard. He begins to tell the story of his youth, when he was still a vigorous warrior who fearlessly wielded a massive spear in battle. In his old life, every forest keeper serving a noble was legally forced to spend a grueling portion of their time fighting on the front lines. After leaving his father behind, he spent years wandering from village to village as a sellsword. He traveled light with his spear and a pack, searching for a place to call home among the rugged mountains and rocky paths. Eventually, he found a mountain village that seemed like a paradise, overflowing with abundance and natural beauty. It looked like the perfect place to settle down and escape the horrors of war. Because even commoners could enter the woods, the lack of firewood forced the villagers to travel much deeper into the dangerous mountain terrain. The forest was often covered in a thick mist that hid the terrifying monsters that were waiting to ambush the unsuspecting mountain villagers. His life fell apart when he failed to meet the conditions of an official contract and found himself rejected and broken on the ground. Fear washes over his young face as he stares into the darkness of the woods. He realized too late that he was being hunted by something far worse than anything he had seen on the battlefield. He felt a primal terror while cornered against a tree, as a low growl signaled that his life was about to reach a violent end. Two small, green-skinned creatures with glowing yellow eyes peek out from behind the bark of a tree. They are goblin children, and the old man reveals the horrifying truth that these monsters kidnap human women to breed their offspring. A massive, muscular goblin looms over him, its eyes glowing with a predatory light as it prepares to strike. He later learned that the village where the women kept dying had become infamous throughout the region as the Goblin Village. It was a place of pure nightmare that he could never forget. The name of the Goblin Village eventually became a curse that reminded him every single day of the horrific life he was forced to live. The old man admits through his tears that he was forced to live alongside those disgusting monsters for several decades against his will. His entire existence became focused on a single, burning obsession: He was driven solely by the need to one day have his revenge on the bastards who took everything from him. He swore a blood oath to survive the hellscape until he could personally burn every single one of those goblin nests to the ground. The two men remain silent as the weight of this tragic history fills the clearing and changes the mood of their meeting completely. Our hero silently processes the heartbreaking story, while realizing that his own path is now inextricably linked to this broken old man. He stares at his own battle scars and realizes they are permanent proof of the brutal reality he must face in this new world. He remains calm while understanding that the road ahead will be far more complicated and dangerous than he ever imagined when he started. The veteran declares his intention to train our boy into an elite hunter, so he can finally witness the total destruction of his enemies. Li Ho-yi prepares himself for the grueling journey ahead, while the veteran hunter eyes his new student with a newfound sense of purpose. Our protagonist realizes that once this contract is officially signed, a binding force takes over. He won't be able to just pack up and run away whenever he feels like it anymore. In a show of respect, our boy lowers his head and bows deeply to the man who is now officially his master. It is a humble gesture, but there is still plenty of tension under the surface. The old man is a sharp observer and realizes that his new student is keeping his weight shifted back. He might be smiling, but his guard is up, and he is ready to move at a moment's notice. With an authoritative air, the old man promises that starting today he will pass on every scrap of knowledge he possesses. He places a hand on the boy's shoulder to seal their new training agreement. A cold sweat starts to bead on our boy's forehead. He is realizing just how intense this whole situation is getting, and the path ahead looks steeper than ever before. Morning light spills into the cozy house, and it feels like he only closed his eyes for a split second. Our boy is already up and moving, while the woman in the room prepares for the day. He peers out the window before finally stepping out of the house to confront the visitor waiting in the yard. He is being extra cautious about who he lets inside his home while he is gone. Inside the kitchen, the woman named Lizzie is busy cooking up a meal with the little blonde girl Dorothy watching her every move. Our boy thinks to himself that he does not want anyone getting used to coming in here while it is just the two of them staying alone. He steps out to find the old man waiting patiently for him. They lock eyes, and our boy knows it is time to get back to the grind and leave this peaceful atmosphere behind. Seeing that wide grin on the old man's face makes our hero immediately tighten up with suspicion. He knows that in a world this dangerous, someone who smiles that much while surrounded by monsters is bad news. Suddenly our boy sees a vision of a man in a suit asking if Juwon has come home yet. It is a weirdly jarring moment as he pulls on his vest trying to keep his focus on reality. He slings his heavy bag over his shoulder and prepares to head out. Just as he is about to leave, someone calls out that name Juwon again, making him pause for a second. Our boy turns back to Lizzie and tells her not to worry because he is fine and will be back before they know it. He is trying to act cool, but you can tell he cares about leaving them behind. Lizzie looks incredibly flustered as she clumsily tries her best to finish packing a lunchbox for him. She is clearly worried about him going out there and is doing everything she can to help. Our boy gets a bit of a blush on his face as he watches her. Seeing her work so hard just for his sake is definitely hitting him in the feels more than he wants to admit. Little Dorothy stands nearby watching Lizzie with a confused and curious expression. The atmosphere in the house is thick with a mix of worry and affection as our boy prepares to depart. Suddenly, Dorothy turns around and starts sprinting toward the door. She is moving fast with a look of pure determination on her tiny face as she chases after our protagonist. Little Dorothy comes charging toward the door with a look of pure focus on her face. Our hero is totally startled by her sudden burst of energy and shouts out her name in confusion. Dorothy is not letting him leave without the most important thing. She shouts about the lunchbox, reminding him that he cannot go out into the world on an empty stomach. Lizzie rushes up right behind her and shoves the lunch into his bag, telling him he needs to hurry. She is frantic and insists that he makes sure to eat properly while he is out training. Our boy looks back over his shoulder with a soft smile on his face. He realizes that having a family that actually looks after him and cares about his well-being is honestly a wonderful feeling. Lizzie stands there looking a bit shy and hesitant. Our boy thinks to himself that this is probably just her subtle way of telling him to make sure he comes back home safely to them. He decides to tease her a little bit and asks her directly if she is telling him to come back safely. He points a finger toward her with a playful grin, enjoying the moment. Lizzie gives him a sweet and honest nod of confirmation. She is not hiding it anymore, and the look on her face is pure sincerity as she watches him go. She waves goodbye with a bright smile on her face. In the foreground, Dorothy is still pointing and making sure he knows that the food is the top priority for his trip. The little blonde girl lets out one last giant shout for him to come back safely. Her energy is infectious, and our boy can feel his heart melting just a little bit at how much she cares. Our boy waves back at her with a huge, genuine smile plastered on his face. He promises her out loud that he will definitely return, and you can tell he means it from the bottom of his heart. As he walks away, he starts to feel a bit of regret. He thinks to himself that this is actually bad because for the first time he really does not want to leave his home at all. His expression sharpens as he focuses his gaze forward. Even though his heart is back at the house, he knows he has a job to do and a training session to survive. Lizzie and Dorothy keep waving as he gets further away. Our boy thinks they are just way too adorable, and he is incredibly lucky to have stumbled into this sudden family life. The peaceful morning scene fades as he follows the old man deep into the sun-drenched forest. The training is finally about to begin, and the quiet life of the house is left behind. Lee Ho-yi is starting to lose his patience. They have been trekking through these woods for a while now, and he is wondering what could possibly be so important that they had to hike this far out. Suddenly, the old man in the green cloak stops dead in his tracks and mutters a phrase in a strange language. This leaves the protagonist standing there completely confused about what is happening. Our boy looks down, wondering if the old man is trying to point something out on the forest floor. Is there a clue hidden in the dirt, or is this just another part of the test? Without another word, the hooded man starts walking again, his heavy cloak swishing through the grass. Lee Ho-yi follows closely behind, trying to figure out what he is missing. As he watches the ground, he notices something that makes his heart skip a beat. Every step the old man takes leaves a massive indentation in the solid earth, as if he weighs 1,000 pounds. Looking at the trail behind them, the evidence is undeniable. That old man is leaving behind footprints that look more like craters than human tracks. This training is clearly on a whole different level than anything our boy has ever experienced before, and he is finally starting to see the power of the man leading him.